meeting, I think.
Yeah, I just started. It's fine.
Hi, Karina.
How are you guys?
I'm great.
Hi, Karina.
Is Gina on sound yet? Oh, that's Camille. Oh, that's Gina. Hi, Gina. Hi, Camille.
Hello, how are you?
Good, thanks.
David, you're looking good.
He's what?
I cut my own hair last night, so you know. One of these in the mirror things, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but
That's hilarious.
I'm trying. All right, let's see. Let's get some more people in here. Who's Anita Venturnu? She's coming in.
I don't recognize that.
We got Angelina's, Chris O'Brien.
Top house.
Camille, how are you?
I'm doing well, how are you?
As well as could be expected.
It's difficult, I know.
Hi, everybody. How you doing? I hope everybody's well.
Hi.
Hi, Chris.
Hey, Chris.
How many people we have attending tonight?
We don't know.
All right.
No, it wasn't everything.
So far, 12 of us, huh?
Okay, great.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Kristen. How do I get in?
And Chris, thank you for your email. The board will be talking about some of those issues you brought up.
Great. That's great. Thank you.
Oh, what's going on, everyone?
I see Valen. He's on the board of the Chamber of Commerce. Who else? Carl. He's also one of our board members.
What's up, Karina?
Hello. I see Loretta.
Yes, hi.
And I believe Judy Fix or John Fix.
We're both here.
Yep.
Yes. You can take your mask off for the call.
Habit.
Keeping it safe. He's keeping it safe.
Good habit.
Yes, yes.
Oh, Myra, I love the picture behind you. It's gorgeous.
Thank you. I stole it from my brother.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Gina.
Hi. Hi.
Oh, that's good, isn't it?
Welcome, Mayor.
Hey, how are you, Karina? How's everything?
Good. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Good. Do you have any more people in the waiting room?
Nope, just the 19 that are in here right now and no one's waiting.
It's 8:04. We want to start. Or do you want?
Yeah, I think we should start. I know on the village's end, this is something that Omira, the mayor, Karina and I talked about, just trying to get everyone together as we know that phase 1 will soon be happening. I think most
Can
of
we
you have
ask
seen,
everyone to mute? Or David, can you mute everyone?
everyone's muted. I think that most people have seen the metrics out there. I'll share that with you. This is the metrics out there. Obviously, we are in the Mid-Hudson region. We have not met all the metrics to be able to open. The 14-day decline in hospital deaths or fewer than 5 deaths and a 3-day rolling average. We have not yet met. We do have county conference calls 3 days a week. And the county expects us to actually meet those metrics by next week. I don't know if that means Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but that definitely means next week. Hopefully. Sorry, I'm gonna stop my share. Gonna let some more people in here. I think that means, I think a lot of people, if people haven't seen that yet, New York State has a great website that kind of goes through all this stuff. I think I can show you that. Talks about phase 1, phase 2. As a phase 1 right now, that's the first kind of phase that we're looking to open up next week. Obviously, hunting and fishing is not something that we really do here, but retail trade, that's going to open up a lot of the different shops in the village. Delivery, curbside, in-store pickup, obviously nothing that you can't shop and go in, but you can, pick up a lot of these things. I think that's going to be a lot of our businesses, which is really good. But I know a lot of people.
John left the meeting.
I know a lot of people are really curious about, restaurants. I know that's in phase 3 as of right now. So no movement on that to be able to have kind of those sit down stuff. But right now we're looking to open up. This is kind of just an open conversation we're looking to have to figure out if the village can assist in any way in the next phase. We know when we do get to phase 1, there is 2 weeks between each phases. So we know that phase 2 is going to open up some professional services and even more retail, but then I know that restaurant sit down service comes after that. So I know that that's a far ways off, and I know that's something that everyone's looking at right now. But again, it's just kind of an open conversation with members here, with business owners, to figure out if there's something that the village can do to try to make things easier in the next few months.
I've got a quick question. I'm not sure, are we supposed to go in an order? Do you want us to flag
I don't
anything?
think there's an agenda. I think we're all over the place, so go ahead.
All right, well, probably coming out of left field, but as far as restaurants, I heard potentially somewhat of a solution to open up maybe street or sidewalk dining. Obviously, we have the summer months coming up with better weather. Is that something that has been discussed or could potentially be incorporated to open up a couple, higher of a percentage of opening for the restaurant?
Yeah, I know that's one of the big ones that's kind of come up is how do we do that? One, are we allowed to do that? I know that we've asked the county executive that, and he's brought that to the state to figure out if we can kind of accelerate some of the more outdoor dining. No answer on that yet. We keep asking. Again, I'm not sure if that's going to be allowed, or if it's going to be accelerated in phase 3 or prior to phase 3, but we're waiting on those answers. But that is something that we're looking to explore, and we can definitely think about. Certain things we have to think about is sidewalks. Are we allowed to have, we could, currently right now we could, permit tables on sidewalks, but we need, handicap accessibility. We are trying to keep people at least 6 feet apart when they are walking. So those are some challenges there, but it's definitely I think, I don't speak for the board, but we're definitely open up to these types of ideas.
David, how will it look when the hair salons, nail salons, and barber shops are allowed to open?
I'm sorry, who asked that?
Sandra Alban.
Sandra Albany.
Oh, okay. What do you mean exactly? How does that look?
I mean, what can we expect? Everything by appointment only? How are they going to be advised to stick to the occupancy rules?
All right, so as of right now, I don't know of occupancy rules that have gone out yet. So what you should do is, again, I'm going to share my screen. If you haven't gone to the state website, there are some guidelines out there. I'll try to share my screen. But as far as I know, there aren't guidelines out there to say if, when a hair salon opens up, if someone has to have a mask, if it can only be one person. That's something we can look into.
Hey, David, can I interject real quick?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
So, speaking about the restaurants before, I know a couple of familiar faces on the screen is of an interest to a lot of people. So there's been a lot of movement regarding this. I don't know if anybody watched the news today, but there's a bunch of villages in Long Island actually that have already pushed for permits and applications. They've actually waived those in the town of Hempstead, Oyster Bay, and I forget which other town out there. They're looking to close down main arteries in the villages and give the restaurants street space allocated for their outside dining, again, permitted that it's 6 feet apart. They just started that in Connecticut yesterday. We have 2 restaurants up in Connecticut. It was very successful. Again, managed by the individual restaurants, sanitary procedures, disposable menus, masks, gloves, etc. And in those municipalities, for example, the town of Darien is giving parking spaces to the local businesses, whether it's a 20 by 30 space for outdoor dining. That's actually happened in Rhode Island. That started this week also. I think Jersey is soon to follow. Hoboken actually has a plan to close down their main street and allow their restaurants to eat outside. I know the Village of Rye, we have a couple restaurants in Rye also, Rye City. And they had a board meeting on Monday. They discussed that as well, and they're very much in favor of actually shutting down Purchase Street, which is the main artery in the town of Rye. And they have about 14 different restaurants on that street daily after a particular time, whether it's 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, to all vehicle traffic, and they're just going to allow all the restaurants to have seating outside. And I get that that's, I'm speaking exclusively for restaurants, but I think it's, for us to be able to open for takeout, and some of you might be able to speak to this also, it's kind of difficult to make ends meet. I mean, I think that outdoor dining is going to be really an essential part of how we can survive.
And if I may, Chris, building off of what you're saying, Kristen from Broken Bow, what if, with parking lots, we have our parking lot, and given that we can meet handicap criteria, 6-foot areas, spread everything out, use all the proper safety procedures, would we be able to have people in the so-called beer garden, extending it into the parking lot, sooner than later? It's still using and utilizing the curbside, the home deliveries and all that type of stuff, but with the sunshine and
We're going to get about 3, maybe 4 good months out of this if we can act.
Exactly. Then it's done. Then it's done.
And listen, this is going to happen, and it's just a matter of time. I mean, all the surrounding states are doing it. The New York Restaurant Association is putting a lot of pressure on the governor. There's a lot of chatter about this. And so far, so good. It's shown to work, in just a few days it's worked up for us in Connecticut. But my goal is to have a plan in place. So when the governor or the county executive says, listen, I think that we're going to allow restaurants to have outdoor seating, that we can just hit the button and say go, rather than wait for any kind of legislation. And that's the other part of this, is that a lot of local municipalities are given the leeway to kind of loosen restrictions and regulations on this for the local businesses. So I think it's, I just want to make sure we have our ducks in a row here. So if possible, that we can really just hit the ground running.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I'll step to that real quick. The village, the county executive, they have no power in regards to allowing the restaurants to open up for tableside.
Okay.
Anything tableside as of right now. But again, as you said, the Restaurant Association is petitioning the governor. What we haven't seen yet, and I'm curious to see, is some of the upstate areas that have opened up already. Is he going to allow some of the outdoor dining in those areas first? So say if they get into, if they get to phase 2, is he going to allow the outdoor stuff, to accelerate at that point? So, but to your point, yeah, we need to be on this and ready to go whenever he does kind of restrict that.
I think it's a real fluid situation, right? Like, it seems like it's going, if not, 3 days to 3 days, it's definitely going week to week where things are changing here. For example, even in Connecticut, 3 weeks ago, they were saying, oh, we're going to allow salons and hair and, barbershops to open with phase 1. And then they kind of pulled the plug on that a couple of days beforehand. So it's a real fluid situation, and I get that. But I think that it can just as easily work in our favor with something like this. I mean, there's studies have been proven that outdoor seating areas, they're encouraging people to go to the beaches. So they're encouraging people to go out. So outdoor seating areas make total sense from a health perspective. So if that gives us a tool to be able to survive this thing and come out with a fighting chance to get through this, then I just want to make sure that we have, again, all of our ducks in a row and support from our local, our local officials and the community also. So it's going to be tough enough as it is getting people to feel comfortable to come out again. So I just want to make sure that, if we do have any tools in our tool bag to help us navigate this, that, we have the support of the village board.
I was on a phone call today.
So just so you know, you have 100% support.
I was on a phone call today with someone. We're working on some ideas for the county because we're on this. We're with the Business Council of Westchester, and they have a task force. So we're coming up with some ideas that are sort of along the line of how I Love New York worked to focus on traveling to New York. Well, we want something that's like that for shopping and supporting local businesses, which includes somebody like a Lowe's or a Home Depot, because if you're going to shop at Home Depot, I'd rather have you shop in Yonkers or in Westchester than go outside the county. But one of the things that this person said to me when we were talking today, and she's involved a lot with the Nyack Chamber, Pearl River, and a few others in Rockland County. She said, what if we looked at this situation and pretended we didn't have any rules and we were starting from scratch? Now, that wouldn't be applying to the restaurant stuff because David's right, we've got state things. But what can we do? What's in our control as a village that we can do to adjust? If it's just temporary, that's fine. So does that mean there's a review of the permitting process? Is a review of signage temporarily? Yorktown's actually addressing that. They just had a meeting. They're having a committee like this, and they're addressing some of those issues. We have a new building person for the building department. We have a consultant. Maybe this is the time to do some things differently, at least while we're under this circumstance, and see if some of it works and we can keep with it. Or I'm not saying like, let's just let people build stuff and do whatever. But what I'm saying is, let's pretend we didn't have any rules of what we can control and see what we can do better, because businesses are going to need that. And doing business the old way, with a lot of the roadblocks that come up, I mean, you look at all the laws and rules and things we have just as a village, it's unbelievable. It's a lot. Now, is every single one of them absolutely necessary? Well, I don't know. And I don't want to say violate building codes or anything like that, but what can we do? Signage, for example. You don't have to have neon signs, but why should someone that spent thousands of dollars on their logo have to have a sign that's a color that isn't their logo? It's just things like that. Maybe this is an opportunity for us to look at some of that to make doing business in Tuckahoe easier and better for the businesses.
So they put chairs and then that thing. It just came out.
Great. I think that's a valid point. I think twofold on that is, one, yes, some of that longer term stuff should be looked at, and we definitely want to hear from the chamber because we do have a consultant on board. That's one of her tasks is going to be looking at trying to figure out how to make things easier for business owners in regards to the permitting process. But two, I think we really got to look at, the short term. I mean, you guys are opening up. What can we do in the short term? And you're right. Something like a sign law, short term, allowing, multiple signs out there or allowing something that says we're open. Absolutely.
Yeah, and to bring up to your point, Chris, this is why we brought you all together so that we could hear what are some of the things that we do need to consider as a board, and we're going to have an ad hoc meeting and take all these things into consideration so that we're ready. As you said, when they say okay, go, you can just hit the button and you're ready. So that's why it really is important for us to hear from you. Kristen, to your point, at Broken Bow, can you use your parking lot? It's a great idea. So these are the things that are good for us to hear from you so that when we come together as a board, we have, solid information and we can make decisions quickly so that when you're in the phase of opening your business, you can be ready. You're not waiting for the village to say, okay, we're going to relax the sign and permit rules, or that stuff would have been worked out. So I think that this is a good opportunity for us, to Mike's point, to rethink how we're doing some things, how we could relax some rules, maybe change things that maybe haven't really been looked at in some time. So I think that the board is really excited about it and getting you guys opened up.
We want that more than anything, just so all of you know. We want to see you guys succeed and thrive, and we want people to come to our village and enjoy what we have here. So all your input is definitely important to us.
Yes, on that note, guys, this is Karina from the chamber. I wanted to thank you, before we continue, thank you all for taking the initiative that we do this meeting, because it is very important. I see that you are recording the meeting, which is great, because I think it would be beneficial to maybe post it later on, maybe on your YouTube channel, and we can post it on our social media platforms as well. For those businesses that are not here and that weren't able to attend today, so that they too can have access to this conversation and know where they can go to after today to voice their opinions or ask questions or, raise any issues that they might have in terms of reopening. So thank you.
Yeah, and we also don't want this to be a one-shot conversation. I think this pandemic pushes us into looking at doing things differently, and having regular meetings with the businesses and the Chamber of Commerce is something that the board also would like.
So listen, guys, we've been closed. Can I say something? We've been closed 8 weeks. And as far as I'm concerned, pressure needs to be put on somebody to reopen. So be it outside, inside, you say outside dining. Listen, I'm John from Stevens Green, for whoever doesn't know. Is we have outdoor dining, which is fine. But as far as I'm concerned, it's as safe to dine inside as outside if under the right conditions. Because at least you can sanitize, it's easier sanitize inside than outside. So, the big push towards outside dining, I don't really know why it is. As far as I'm concerned, businesses need to keep their places probably in better shape and being, just better run and just more. It's sanitized. You can sanitize inside 10 times a day if you want. But I mean, we need to open, because I don't know how long business can last without opening. So it's fine to say it's get ready get ready for opening, but we need to get open, and pressure needs to be put on somebody for this to happen. That's my bit on this, because we can talk all we want about doing this and doing that, and at the end of the day, we're governed by the governor.
And on that note, if you are all aware, the Westchester County Association is hosting a webinar on May 27th regarding how to safely reopen your business, how to, be prepared to sanitize and to clean, what are the proper procedures that you have to follow, how to protect your employees as you reopen. I will post this information because it just came out today, I believe. So I'm going to post it on our website, on our Instagram account, and also our Facebook account for you all to have access to it as well.
Hi, I have a question. I'm here with Frank from Crestwood Shoe Repair. I'm sure you can all see him.
Yeah.
Will someone from the county or the state come around after we get phase 1 opened, or after we get open, to make sure that we're taking all the necessary precautions? And if we're not, do you know if we could be fined?
Truthfully, there's no possible way that New York State or Westchester County are going to be going to every single business out there.
Okay, because
but yes, you can get fined, and I think it's one of those things where we all have to band together and, try your best to protect employees, to protect your customers and things like that. But there's too many businesses, even the village of Tuckahoe, we're small here. We don't have the staff or personnel to be walking up and down Main Street, going into every single business, making sure that, all your protective gear is being worn and things like that.
Well, 2 weeks ago, someone came to Frank's store.
Mhm.
And he is not open. He's not open. He was by the door. He had the sign up. He's cleaning the door because that's all he's been doing is cleaning. And this guy said to him, "You're not supposed to be open. You better make sure you have that, closed sign up, because the sign that says, 'Yes, we're open. Sorry, we're closed.'"
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of got a little nasty with Frank. So I didn't know. Then I called the police to see if they were sending somebody around. They said no. So I don't know if this was just somebody, excuse my language, busting his chops. I'm sorry, I had to come right out and say it. Or it was somebody from the state or the county checking to make sure that we weren't open, that he wasn't open. So that's why I was asking. If once they give us the go-ahead for phase 1, can people come into Frank's store, or we have to stop them at the door? Does anybody know the answer to that? Because they're talking about curbside. So are we going to allow people in the store, or Frank has to do his business by the front door? Anybody know?
So I apologize, Mike. The internet went out there. But as I read it, if people come in, it's phase 1, where they would be allowed to come into the store and either pick up what they need to pick up, or you'd have some sort of curbside delivery. I know that you're shoe repair, so I would assume that you could drop something off.
Right.
You'd have to leave the store. It would have to be probably a quick interaction.
We do have tape on the floor, 6 feet. So, not like the stores have the circles. We have tape on there for 6 feet. He is going to put the plexiglass or the vinyl strips by the counter, so in case, try to protect us a little more.
Mm-hmm.
But those are my questions. I know
it's going to be
dying to open.
I think it's going to be based on your business also and the size of your storefront. If you have a small space, you may have to have a sign up that says only 1 person at a time, or 2 people at a time, So I think everybody's going to have to take a look at that, and maybe the Chamber of Commerce could help with some, as Karina said, there are some webinars out there that are helping businesses develop policies and procedures for keeping your employees safe and for following the social distancing rules. But certainly I think having these discussions and coming together, you hear from other people what they're doing. And so I think that's why it's important for us to continue through with these conversations as we're going through the phases.
Yes, and if you go onto our website, I posted today the new guide for reopening. It's a pretty detailed document. It's 156 pages long. But, it is up there on our website if you want to take a look at it and see if there's anything in there that applies specifically to your business, or it might answer some questions that might have.
What is your website again? Sorry.
It's so it's Eastchester Tuckahoe Chamber of Commerce, etcoc.com.
etcoc.com. Okay.
And you'll see, first thing you're going to see on there is this PDF, it's a document that was launched recently. And then there's a list of resources, whole bunch of information. I think it's, overload of
Right. Well, I went into New York State the other night and I printed some documents, and they have this 6 or 7 page questionnaire of what you're going to do and check this box and check that box. I'm trying to fill it out, but is someone going to come and say, oh, Frank, you don't have that, safety precaution plan up in place? That's what,
No, it's up to us, the business owners, to do research and educate ourselves. I've been doing ours pretty much every single day. I own daycares.
Oh, yeah.
It's a highly regulated industry, so I have to make sure that I know what I'm doing, and make sure that I'm putting things into place because I do get inspected.
Right,
really.
of course, right.
So it's a little bit different. But there are, tons of information out there. From a chamber's perspective, what we are doing is trying to, go through and search to see what the best options are for us to share with our business community. So if you go on our website, you will see a list of resources that I think will be helpful. Okay. And if there's anything, that's why we're on this call too, right? If there's anything specific that anybody needs help with, just let us know, email us at the chamber. So just so you all know, also the office is closed, so there is no one answering the phones right now. I believe we might be opening next week, but we don't have 100% certainty on that. So email us if you have any specific questions, and someone will definitely get back to you.
I know I found out about the meeting because of Karen Paulus at Country Bank. I work at Country Bank, so but I got to, okay. I'll check the website. You have any questions?
No, that's it.
Hi, Karina. I don't know if you can hear me. It's Jackie from Village Hall.
I can. Yes, Jackie.
Hi, how are you? Just to let Frank know, I don't know if this is the other people as well. I'm in from 1 to 4 daily. So if somebody needed to reach your office, I can get messages under your door or something like that, if that would help them, if they're not as comfortable with the internet. I'm more than happy to do that for you guys as well. Or if any business owners can't reach someone, again, I am reachable from 1 to 4. If I'm not there, leave me a message. I will call everyone back. So we are trying to assist our business owners in any way that we can as well in accessing information. So if that's a help, I'll be happy to give you my private line, or you can always reach me through my email.
I really appreciate that. And this is Kristen from Broken Bow again.
Hi, Kristen.
Just out of curiosity, as things change, we all know they're changing day by day, and whether or not the village has to, everybody's lives has been shaken up. Will there be some sort of document or email or conversation again, I guess really David or Mayor or any of you guys, about the changes that used to be, whether it's a zoning change or something that would have come up with the planning and boarding zone, as we try to find our way through this new world that we're in, whether it's serving on sidewalks or wherever it is. How will you guys post that or let us know?
So Kristen, again, I think it's going to be twofold. Some of the longer term zoning stuff or planning stuff, that's got to be looked at pretty intently.
Okay.
And that has to go through local laws and it has to go through the village board and things like that. But when it comes to some of the short term stuff, that's, I think, our main focus of tonight is just the next month, the next 6 weeks to try to get you guys open and try to assist you as much as possible, at least through the summertime. I think we're taking notes tonight. We're listening to your ideas. I think Karina, myself, we'll kind of put something together. I know the board will have a discussion about a lot of this stuff, and we'll figure out where we want to go from there.
Okay, so I'm sure you guys are being called daily as to what the changes are going to be. So there will be something sent out or email or an update or another Zoom call that will let us know so that everybody can adhere in the.
Yeah, I think this was successful tonight. I mean, at a very short notice, I mean, there's several people from the community on it tonight. So once we hear back from everyone, kind of put our heads together, we can set up another call like this. Again, like Trustee Andino said, this is just the first call, and we just kind of want to get your ideas, and we'll definitely want to have one of these very soon.
Sure, and I don't know, I know I'm in a different industry than I think everybody on here. I know most of you. You know, the New York State Brewers Association did a really cool survey, which I'm happy to share with anybody, in what you could take it yourself and my perspective of would I want to go back to a brewery? How would I want to? When would I want to? What would my preference be? Because the New York State Liquor Authority has done a really nice job throughout this with extending us special circumstances like curbside delivery and home deliveries. And just to get a feel from both owners, employees, general population of what their feel would be, do you think it might be worth the Chamber of Commerce putting out, you know, for hair salons to restaurants to bakeries to shoe repair places that, you know, what they would like to see or what they would feel comfortable with to sort of gauge where we need to be? Because I know even with the beer industry, when you speak to breweries and up north, curbside delivery and home deliveries meant nothing because the houses were so far away. So walking in, getting a to-go order was nothing. Whereas here, we very much rely on curbside pickup and home deliveries. So do you think perhaps putting together some sort of survey would be, we know what we want to do because we all are wanting to open our doors as quickly as we can, but perhaps that might be an idea for the public.
Kristen, if you can share that with me, that'll be great, so I can take a look at it.
Yeah, I would be absolutely happy to. If you want to, in the comment section, give me your email, and I'd be happy to forward it to you. But I thought, even as an owner, I thought it was really, I just thought it was a great idea because it made me think both from an owner's perspective, as a business owner, but also as an employer and as somebody thinking from, because we have so many regulars here, you know, what their families would feel safe with. So I thought it was very eye-opening, but if you give me your email address, I'd be happy to forward it on to you.
It's the chamber's email.
Okay, I'll send it there then.
Okay, thank you.
Can I make a suggestion to all the business owners here too? One of the things that I had one of my clients do was they had no relationship with their state senator or with their New York State Assembly person, and they're in Pelham. So I believe it's Shelley, and then it's Alexandra Biaggi. I would suggest that you all, if you haven't, reach out to Shelley Mayer, our state senator, and Amy Paulin, our state assembly person, and let them know what's going on and what your feelings are, because the more pressure they get, the better. They actually mentioned my client's a painting contractor, and they actually brought it up to the governor about when they could open, because painting contractors are under the same restrictions as other construction companies. They're kind of in the same boat as the restaurants, actually, and worse in some cases. But as business owners, there's things we can do. We need to be heard, and talking with the village is great, and it's excellent that they're doing this, but we need to be more proactive with other government officials that have the decision power. So I would recommend that you just Google Amy Paulin and Shelley Mayer and let them know they're around. They're getting an earful, and they need to hear from us. So I would suggest you all do that if you haven't done it yet. I know our our village board is doing that, but it lends more weight when other businesses reach out to them. So I would recommend that, and that's something you can control, and you can, let it all hang out. They're elected, they got to suck it up, and they've got to listen to what's happening and see what they can do. And Shelley and Amy are very powerful in Albany because of their tenure and who they're connected with. So they're a strong representative for us to get the ear of the governor. So I would just suggest that.
And maybe we could even, as the village, we could facilitate that conversation and invite them to another meeting that we have. That's also possible.
I just, this is Loretta DeSimone. I just wanted to comment to the point that Kristen Stone just made. Even if there were, a mandate or a ruling that every business could open tomorrow, there is a large segment of the population that's still not going to feel safe going into certain businesses. So I think finding out what will make people feel comfortable it might not be a bad idea. I'm agreeing with, trying to do some type of a survey because it's going to take time no matter what to get back to normal. But having some insight might be helpful.
If I may. Seeing as we're like 5 to 6 weeks out from phase 3 happening, and I'm listening to what everybody's saying, and I, as been said by other members of the board, we are all in favor of encouraging and doing whatever we can to facilitate the opening of your businesses. So with that being said, and seeing as this, we're looking to, in the short term, as Mr. Burke mentioned, that, this is going to be waived and this is going to not be affected, not going to be enforced. I would like to get some of your ideas of what you're looking to do come 5 weeks from now. So this way, as Chris said earlier, when the doors finally do open, we want to hit the ground with our feet running. So at some point in time, we're going to need to hear what you want to do, and then we'll obviously, as we've been talking about, then the board's going to look at it and say yes, we can do this, or no, there's a legal issue that we can't do this. So again, just so that we know what we need to do to get you guys moving when the time comes.
And Mayor, what is the best way if businesses want to get in touch with you or your office? What's the best way to reach you?
My email address at Tuckahoe Village Hall, G. Luisi,
okay.
LUISI at Tuckahoe-NewYork.com. Or my cell phone number, 914-584-5937. And of course, you can always leave a message at Village Hall. I still come into Village Hall every day during the week. 10 o'clock on Wednesdays, I do a virtual Zoom with whoever wants to sign on in the community.
I'll send out an email after this call with this information. I just didn't get a chance to be here today.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But if for example, let's talk about, say, Broken Bow. They want to, I don't know, I'm just going to say something absurd. They want to put pink tables outside, with orange umbrellas. We want to know that, Kristen, and we'll go, yeah, don't worry about it, Kristen. You put polka dots on the other ones, So just to give everyone in the room an idea of what we're looking to hear from you, so we can say, yeah, go with it.
Well, I guess, and thank you for saying that. I guess, how far or how does this conversation or dance go? In the old world, you would submit your application, you would go
Right.
planning and zoning and all that. And now everybody is, in haste to get their businesses up and running. And obviously, we're all good people. Nobody wants to do anything wrong. But I guess that sort of, if we're talking next week for phase one, which brings, you know, joy to my heart, since we're phase three, you know, how fluent is this going to be? Or can I say, you know, email, is this fine? Or do we just do what is right, you know, given the standards, and go from there? Or, you know, how should we approach this, I guess? Whether it's David sending out an email of these are the new village laws, or not quite sure.
Again, you know, Karina, this is just the first of, I'm sure will be many meetings. And as Trustee Andino mentioned, there's going to be a meeting amongst the board. So if we have 1 or 2, 3 ideas that we can discuss and then get back to those individuals about, you know, that's a starting point. We're not going to solve everything tonight, that's for sure.
Sure. So this is really going to be, if I could take anything away from this meeting tonight, would it be, would I be fair in saying that these next weeks, months, whatever this is going to be really more of a conversation between the village and the businesses in, okay, here we are, this is the step, this is what we would like to do to open our doors, sort of thing, reaching out to the appropriate people?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds right to me.
Okay.
And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think if any of you already have something in mind, or you have an idea, or you're working on your plan, right, to reopen, reach out to us now. Reach out to Village now. Don't wait, right? Because I'm sure we can start working on providing an answer, some sort of answer to you.
Yes, don't wait on any of that. I know I see Chris there. He already sent an email out and he's already inquired about a parking lot and things like that. When it comes to Chris and when it comes to you, if you want to expand your outdoor area, there are some things that we have to look at. You have a site plan that says you can't do that. We have to look at the legalities to see if the village board can, pass a temporary, emergency declaration or something for a certain number of months to allow you to expand that. If you want to indefinitely do that, that's a different issue. So.
Yeah, but there are coronavirus emergency.
Yeah, I mean, as I joke with my friends, there's no rules during coronavirus. So it's one of those things where we all, we're all in it together and we all have to figure out a way to assist you for the short term and then figure out the long term.
Right. Yeah, this is not going to change the vernacular of the existing codes as of right now, okay?
Yeah, of course.
And whatever, if I can use the word exception, that the board is going to grant, it's not long-term again, just so everyone's clear on that.
Absolutely. That's the world where we're at right now. But
yeah, this is simply, whatever, we'll call it the COVID era.
Or maybe temporary wait.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's happening in the childcare industry too. The state has had to make some changes in terms of ratios and how long does it take to approve a staff member? Do they have to go get fingerprinted now? Do they have to go get their, TB testing done and so forth? There's a lot. It's like process to get hired to work in the childcare industry. So they are putting waivers into place for the time being. Right? It doesn't mean that the regulations are changing for good, but they are working with us so that we can continue, being in business and providing our service. So I see this, right, as something similar. The village working with the business community to make things work for everybody and to ensure that we can have a successful reopening for everybody.
And just like Mike Dardano said, I think all of us need to put a little pressure on Amy Paulin and Shelley Mayer, just to, you know, maybe talk to the governor. I think that will help us also. Us as a board, we will do the same. We will send another email and we'll push it as much as we can. And Karina, this was a great idea. Thank you for doing this.
Yes, thank you for this. This is good. Good start.
You know, before I came on, I was reading some of the some newspaper articles. Some of the restaurants that have opened up across the country, some of them have, and I'm not suggesting this, I'm just throwing this out there as an FYI. They're taking the temperature of the staff as they come in and putting that information up on the board when their customers enter the restaurant to give them peace of mind. And as I think Chris was talking about before, why I'm so much in favor of this outdoor seating is I think it sort of lends itself to getting people back to normal at some point. And those restaurants that have that, you know, again, I don't understand. You would still be able to use your interiors, but again, you know, you would have to maintain the social distancing. So, you know, I just think that why we're so, you know, why we're pushing is just to make it, I think people are more at ease being outdoors right now.
Yeah, and a lot of these restaurants that are serving outside right now don't have the capability of seating even 25% in the restaurant. So this is kind of like just a way to accelerate the process. And the only reason why I brought it up to David is because, you know, this might be some kind of amendment to phase 2. And that's how it's happening in other states. It's not already dictated that phase 3 we can do outside and inside. This is kind of almost in lieu of opening inside at 25 or 50%. They're kind of giving some restaurants a head start. So that's just why I brought that suggestion up.
Great.
Chris mentioned that that Connecticut is open. I have 4 friends who actually made reservations, already have gone or going this weekend out to dinner in Connecticut.
That's great. I listen, people want to get out. People want to see people at a safe distance. You know, I'm not talking about creating hordes of people, hundreds of thousands, but people want to see other people. They want any semblance of normalcy. And if we can give them that, you know, by sitting at a table outside in the back parking lot 6 feet away from somebody else and serve them a glass of wine.
That's exactly what my friend said. It was so nice to be served a glass of wine.
That's it. And it's, so I think it's working. And of course, time will tell and the data will dictate that. But again, I have a feeling this is going to happen sooner than later. And that's kind of why I wanted to get the dialogue started.
Yep, point well taken, Chris.
I like that idea.
Yeah, I'm in Long Beach now, in Long Island, and they reopened the boardwalk today. And they started selling beach passes already, but residents only. They're super strict. Everyone has to wear a mask. If you're on the boardwalk, you have to maintain social distancing. There are a lot of uniform, like patrol people walking around and making sure that everybody is following the rules. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen this weekend when they actually when they officially reopen the beach. They're saying that the beach, they're going to have a 50% capacity. Once it gets to 50%, they're going to shut it down and people have to move over to the next beach. So they are taking a lot of precautions, like safety precautions, but they're trying to make it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think it's really up to the business owners to really have some strict. You're going to have to set up COVID, you know, operational guidelines, right? In terms of, again, maintaining the safety of all your employees and also all your customers, which is something that we have at the daycare as well. Things are we reopened on Monday, but things are very, very different. It's not business as usual. But we reopened and we're back in business, and with a very small group of children, because not all families came back because parents are scared. They're still, working from home, and they're very just, fearful of coming back into a group setting. But we're doing curbside drop-off in the morning. Parents are not coming into the daycare. So we've had to change our entire process and way of doing things. Which again, I think it's really up to each business owner to take ownership of that and make it happen. And if you show your customers that you're taking this seriously and that you truly do care about their safety and the safety of your employees, then it's a win-win situation for both of us.
I think you summed it up beautifully, Karina. That was a great way to say it. And that's the way that we look at it here as well. Just make people feel comfortable. They're walking into your home and you want them to walk in, feel comfortable, leave feeling comfortable, having a good experience. Even if it's not the overall experience, they're getting an experience. And that's through these stages, whether it's phase 1, phase 3, phase 25, that's what they need to feel. And I think we just have to become accustomed to that. And as I've been saying to all of my employees, and those that have been furloughed, is communication, constant communication, because things are changing daily, and to be able to create an atmosphere as such as what you described is where we need to be, and with communication with our local governments, the county, the state, everything. So
yeah,
having that is very good in conversations such as this.
Yeah. Just, I think showing people that you truly care and that you're putting in the work, that you're doing the research, that you're knowledgeable, that you know what's going on, you know the procedures that you have to follow, and that you are being responsible and you are following the CDC guidelines and anything that's out there, right? I think it's critical, because you can get the help of the village to help you reopen, and we can make it all happen, and then you reopen and you don't have all these other things in place that are truly critical for the success and the livelihood of your business. Then what was all that good for? It was I think, yes, I mean, this is a good conversation that we're having, and it's great that we're all working together, and we're in this together, right? We're going to help each other out, but at the same time, I think it's very, very important that we acknowledge and we understand that there is a virus still out there, and this is not over, and we have to be extremely, extremely careful and put just guidelines and processes into place to take care of everybody and making sure everybody has a pleasurable experience.
John Fix here from Cornell's. Just a quick thing, because we've been both lucky and challenged enough to be essential business, so we've been open throughout. And the reality of part of that is that no matter what signs you put up and no matter what you do, every single day, there's a big load of stress for the staff and everybody involved, and you'll see it once you open with people who come in and, I don't need a mask, I'm not wearing a mask. I don't see that many people in there, why can't I come in your store? Some people are appreciative, but there are enough of them where it will pose a challenge to you when you open. So no matter how you make the plans and the social distancing and everything else, a lot is going to depend on your customers and whether somebody shows up with their entire family instead of just coming in one person, and et cetera. So be prepared.
And John,
I noticed
your sign on their door today that to please wear a mask. I was happy you had that up there.
People don't care.
Yeah, we've had that up all along. You know, and people coming in with their masks, they're not over their nose, they're hanging down, they've got their shirt up, you know, so it's, you know, and part of it, I think for us is a challenge is because, you know, the supermarkets, the hardware stores, the essential places are, everybody that shops, they have a limited selection. So I am looking forward to seeing more places open up so that it's not quite so crazy for the essential businesses.
Mr. Fix, I want to say
The
it was
restaurants
nice.
and the brewery.
I wanted to say it was nice to see Diego out there orchestrating the goings on at the store today.
Yeah, you know, it's very difficult to tell in our store versus say a restaurant or somewhere where you know how many tables have sat at. We've tried to control things by actually parking a lot of employees in our lot. So this way fewer customers can park in the lot. And customers are creative. They're double parking down Highland Avenue. They're parking at neighboring places, which isn't good for the neighboring businesses. So all of a sudden, we are surprised sometimes by how many people have accumulated. And so we have to kind of throttle it back down. And even then, people don't like to stand outside and wait. So just, you know, a lot of people are cooperative, but there's a real cross section in our community. And so hopefully everybody is patient.
Well, just so you know, he's a perfect gentleman.
He's great.
I just want to jump on top of that as well. Obviously, we're all very kind of fixed on getting more customers and being able to open our doors and have clients kind of actively in our spaces again. You know, if you have employees that are also in your places of business, just don't forget to be mindful about them as well, because like John just said, you know, someone can come in without a mask and maybe you're like kind of okay with that, but one of your employees could be like very traumatized or have a very negative impact on that. Because obviously it's a balancing act as business owners between your clients and your employees. And I just, you know, we don't want to obviously have a flip on where we have issues and concerns. So just be cognizant of that as well.
Yes, because you don't also know who has underlying conditions that don't say anything to your employees.
Just touch base with your employees as much as possible. I mean, like we were saying before, communication is so important.
So we are 9:01 p.m. We're on the air. How are we doing? Does anybody have any other questions, comments? No, I'm looking through all your beautiful faces. So I think if there are any more questions, David, we can call it a night. I will follow up with a second email. Maybe we can recap and I'll send out also a couple of links that I have of resources I'd like to share with you all, if that's okay.
Yeah, I think that's fine. On the village's end, we're going to take some of this stuff back. We're going to kind of recap it internally to figure out some of the stuff that we need to do. But we definitely, I think we still want to hear from all the businesses. I know the restaurant said a couple of things. I know that we are small enough here in the village where we can take, you know, each restaurant or each business, and if they have an individual concern, let's start putting these all together and
Hey, David,
figuring out where to
this
go.
is Reverend Gerald. Can you hear me?
Ken?
I got one question, and I don't know if it's already been asked or this topic has been covered, but with issues of liability. So I represent Shiloh Baptist Church, and you know, with all of the reopening, all the conversations surrounding reopening, my concern and my question is about liability. So if we open up and someone contracts COVID, my concern is that that's going to be devastating to my brand and possibly the church. Have we talked about issues of liability?
We haven't talked issue about liability, but just to kind of throw out there something that somebody said earlier, there is a plan online that you have to put together a plan online for opening. New York State has a template for it. It's about 6 pages. I was working on it for the village today. Each individual employer needs to do this. I would recommend taking that pretty seriously and putting that together in place so you have that. When it comes to liability and the long-term liability and where people get this and who they can sue, I am not the person to talk about that. I think that's a bigger issue. That's a bigger question for me. Or, there's attorneys out there that'll probably debate that till they're blue in the face. So I think if you just do your best, you do that plan, you try to do, as much protection as possible. That's kind of all the best we can do right now.
Yeah, at this point, it's very hard with the tail and how long it takes for this to set in. It's very hard to pinpoint exactly where you contracted something.
Right. Yeah,
that's impossible. Absolutely impossible.
Yeah,
But I agree. Second, that follow everything. If you follow all the guidelines, you do everything you can on your end. That's just obviously more on your side when you go to bat.
yes. So when you're creating your plan, before you reopen, you just need to make sure that you're following the guidelines, right? Create a plan where you're following CDC guidelines in terms of what do I do if someone has exposure, to the virus, either a client, a customer, or your staff members. You need to have a plan, and you have to know what to do if that were to happen. And it's got to be a written plan that people have access to it, and they know that this is the plan that you have in place. So as long as you have that, I'm not concerned, and I'm not a lawyer, but you have to have something to back you up and to show that you are prepared.
I believe at the federal level, they're working on that. There's been discussions regarding liability, and there's also been discussions at the state level. The state level discussions haven't been as wonderful. They seem to be leaning towards more of an open attitude about, well, if you're a worker and you get it there, it's the business's fault. Or if you're a worker and you get it and it's the business's fault. So they're toying around with that. That's why it's very important to speak to your legislators, because that would not be good. But the federal law could usurp that, and I know that they're talking about that in the Senate, and I don't know about the Congress, but I know the Senate's talking about it because they're extremely concerned about liability issues. People, especially if you're out of a job, whatever, and then you go in, you get sick, you blame it on the business. It would be like a second wave of economic disaster if liability issues become problematic.
Good. I think if there's nothing else tonight, I think this was a really good start of a good conversation. I think the chamber has some work to do. We have some work to do. And I think, we set up something, I don't know if it's a week from now or, in 10 days or something like that, but I think we should all get back together and keep this moving.
And maybe at the next meeting, we can go ahead and invite our senator and assemblywoman, so that way you guys have access to her. We could facilitate that. So Karina, maybe we could, talk a little bit more about that.
Okay. That'll be great. All right, so if we don't have any more questions, thank you everybody for joining us. And can we say that we will be posting this later? Where?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, good night, everyone.
Good night.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night now.